Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Sue Jankowski and we are back with the travel show. In this show you're going to learn about some fabulous places you're going to want to sign up for and go to, so start the dreaming. This is Kathy Janes, who I think you know by now. She's from Class Act Travel. Thanks for coming in today,
Thank
Kathy.
you. Thanks for having me.
Always
Appreciate it.
Great to have you here. And Kathy brought our guest today, Rich Davis. Rich, thanks for coming in today.
Glad to be here.
Rich comes to us from Yalla Tours. And we're going to explain a lot about Yalla Tours and the great possibilities you have. In fact, this is, I think, places people really want to go to. And maybe it's kind of like you did the regular stuff, whatever you think regular is, maybe London or France or Italy, but now you're going to go that one step further and go to that dream place that you see on TV,
Bucket list.
wished for, but this is your chance to do it. And I am talking about places like Egypt, right?
Well, Egypt is certainly a bucket list destination for many, many people and has been literally for centuries. And because really there's only one Egypt.
It really is.
You know, it can be duplicated in some respects on a small scale by Disney or something like that.
but not, yeah.
You won't get the real place until you go to the real place. And Egypt is, as I said, has been a destination for the ages, and it has just a wealth of things to see and places to go. And to give you an idea of the size, just in case you're thinking about going, Egypt is about 1.5 times bigger than the state of Texas.
Whoa.
Oh,
So
it's bigger than I thought.
It is. And
Whoa.
A lot of people will start in the north around Cairo in the Giza area, and then we'll go down to Luxor and then maybe take a Nile cruise and go all the way down to Aswan and Abu Simbel. So it can be a long journey, but just such a rewarding and interesting journey.
Now, what about, I think everybody, after the pandemic, people started to be a little more concerned about their safety experience. We don't have to worry about the pandemic and any kind of testing you need to do mostly in places. But I think people still think about safety. What do we know about safety in Egypt?
Well, we know a lot about safety in Egypt. In fact, the Egyptian government's number one priority is safety of tourists. And the record is very stellar on that as well. I mean, millions of people come and millions of people go to Egypt, and they all end up returning home, which is good. And I know personally, we as a company at Yalla Tours, we like to have repeat customers, so we're not going to send somebody into an area where they might not be able to come back or come back safely.
Very important. Okay, so now we're in Egypt, and we look at the pyramids. We look at the statues and the pharaohs and all of that. Is there specific, is there a tour meant to do the highlights of Egypt, or is it just like an immersion thing? What kind of things could you be doing there?
Well, I mean, overall in the travel tour industry, we can sell Egypt on any kind of level. We can sell the highlights of Egypt, or we can do an immersion. Somebody's just interested in, say, the Valley of the Kings, and that's all they want to really see this time when they go to Egypt. And so we can focus on those areas as well. So it's basically, for us as a company and for many others, it's whatever the client wants in Egypt, they can get, providing it's safe and sane. So whether it's immersion or highlights.
I think it's kind of interesting, too. I was telling Rich before we started that my son and his wife had gone there for a honeymoon. And he said, you're in the city, and you always think the pyramids are, like a big distance, and you have to really travel to get to it. And he's like, you get to the city, and there they are.
Yeah.
They're just pyramids right there, which is kind of surprising.
It is. I mean, a lot of people don't really know the location of the pyramids until they get there, until they really study it. In fact, there's that old song, which has the pyramids along the Nile. Well,
Yes.
the pyramids really aren't along the Nile.
No, they're not.
But,
No, yeah.
but the song goes on. It's very popular. But the Giza area pyramids are very close to Cairo, and there are other pyramids that are a little bit further down. There's the first pyramid, first prototype pyramid called the Step Pyramid, which is further down and outside of Cairo. And then there's the Red Pyramid, which is kind of the second experiment, which is fairly close to that. So, they are closer than what you think, and then there's some that are further than what you think.
So you can have both experiences there. Your tour would include what? If people wanted to go on that tour, they really want a tour, because you in some of these places, if you're not someone who's like a super adventurer and you don't speak the language and you don't read the signs, you want some guidance. What could your company do for them?
We can take them literally from their airport arrival through the entirety of Egypt all the way back to the airport. Same guide, so they'll have the same person that they're familiar with all along the trip, which is nice.
It is nice,
because they
yeah.
get to know the traveler, and the traveler gets to know the guide, and that is just the way that we make sure that they
Know where they're going.
that they know where they're going. Now, as far as the language situations go in Egypt, in virtually all the tourist areas, people you run into have a working knowledge of
We never
English.
had any issue with English
Language?
at all,
Okay.
never. And the other thing, just kind of put this in here too, I was concerned about the food, and I'm being honest, I really was. So in my suitcase there was a whole corner of cheese and crackers and cookies and whatnot. Just
You're not alone.
yeah,
Nice.
just
Yeah.
cause, just not knowing. It was absolutely delicious. Beef, chicken, fish, fresh vegetables, fresh salad. We had no issues whatsoever. My cookies went and came back.
And they had a vacation.
And they had a vacation away from. But no, there was no issue. The people were great. We had the antiquities police in different pyramids and temples and whatnot. And they would see us and they'd say, "Where are you from?" "We're from the United States." "Oh, we love the United States." They couldn't have been nicer. Could not have been nicer to us. We loved it.
So that is great. I guess if you really want to, get out there and get some history, and really, really history, that's a great place to go. And not too far from that, you can connect your trip together and go into a few countries.
You can go. Usual combinations are Israel and Egypt, or Egypt and Jordan. Or sometimes people do all three. Like I think you said, was it your daughter?
My son, yeah.
Your son, your son did all three on his honeymoon, which, it's not typically, those destinations are not typically thought of as honeymoon destinations, but we do get a fair amount of people who either they're doing their honeymoons or they're going back for anniversaries, that they're a little bit older sometimes, they've done the beach, they've done everything else, so they think, well, we'll just go and see something that's a little bit different, more involved, and on their bucket list.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and different people have different ideas about, what's a vacation. Some people want to sit on a beach. Other people want like history and learn something and see something unique and different. And they're all good. All vacations are good.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can go. So you're going, I want to talk about Israel for a minute.
All right.
So we're going to Israel, and again, I have not been to these places, so you have to be the one to tell me, what am I going to do when I get to Israel?
How much time do you have? You could spend a lifetime in Israel and in Egypt and most of our destinations, just going from place to place and learning and immersing yourself in it. But to answer your question, a lot of people go to Israel on a journey of faith. So no matter what your background, whether it's a Christian or Jewish or Muslim, Israel is the source for all three of those major faiths. So a lot of people will want to see things that are relevant to their beliefs, and some will want to see, some of the secular destinations as well. Like you go over to Tel Aviv and have some fun on the beaches and relax and party. But many people want to see the holy places within Israel. So that's probably the main reason most people go, and then the main reason why they return again and again is because it bolsters the faith. So, any people who are religious, they build off of that, and then if people are going with their churches and their church groups,
right.
it's a great way to build fellowship within the churches too, because the preacher can get up and talk on the the places in Israel and whatever, but until you walk in the footsteps of Jesus, then you see just exactly what Israel is all about, and it hits you here. It's an emotional visit.
An emotional journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these programs can be tailor-made to what you want to do.
And you could combine, like you said, the beach, and then all the religious sites. You can kind of do both. I mean, you just don't have to limit yourself to the one or the other. You could do both.
No, and you should too, because if you're going that far,
Yeah.
you might as well, take care of your spiritual needs if you want, and then have some R&R, or do some, kind of fun things. Go down to the Dead Sea and and float in the water there, and just to experience the totality of the country.
That sounds fascinating. And we talked about Jordan for just a minute. I'm looking for my Jordan paper. So Jordan, you can go there as well.
Yes.
And what would be happening in Jordan?
Well, Jordan is, a destination that in the last probably 20 years has really come into its own as a separate destination. People used to do Jordan as a side trip. They'd go to Israel and then they'd go to Jordan, or sometimes Egypt and then Jordan. But Jordan was kind of like the
Afterthought.
country stepchild
that
didn't get the attention. But it's changed, and it's changed for a lot of good reasons too, because people are more aware of what's to see in Jordan, and probably the biggest site in Jordan to see is Petra. And if you've ever seen the Indiana Jones movie, where you have that beautiful building and these riding the horse down the canyon walls, well, that's the Treasury building at Petra, but it's only one little small portion of what the whole area is all about.
It's got to be incredible.
It was an ancient city of commerce and culture, and when you walk back through it, or you can take carriage rides back through it, you just get to see so much more of it. So that's one aspect of Jordan. Other aspects are, you can go. Jordan's about the size of Illinois too, to give you a perspective. So you can go down down south to the Wadi Rum, and that's where Lawrence of Arabia was hung out, so to speak. And, you can see literally the 7 Pillars of Wisdom, which is one of his famous books. And you can do an overnight experience, Bedouin experience, where you can be in the tents. And these aren't little pup tents or anything. These are kind of glamping or luxury camping, as
That sounds
they call
fun.
it, with meals
Yeah.
prepared. And,
Yeah.
But to see the starlight at night, and it's just, literally
Incredible.
horizon to horizon, versus here where if you're lucky in Chicago area, if you see one
See
star.
a star.
Yeah, a
And then it
star.
turns out to be a plane.
Right, it moves. And then you know it's a plane. And then you can go on further and explore more of Jordan. But it's really worth seeing on its own even now. So.
Okay, that's a fabulous destination. I want to
That
talk
sounds-
about
That sounds cool.
that. They all sound wonderful.
Yeah,
Like we should
that
all
really
go there.
sounds cool.
I want to talk about Greece a little bit though, because I think a lot of people end up at some point going to Greece just because of the great history and the architecture and the Greek people and cuisine and all of that?
Greek is very popular right now, and also in some respects very expensive, especially if you choose to see what a lot of people want to see, which is Santorini, Mykonos, and the islands, because there's only so much room on the islands for people. But that said, it's a beautiful destination. Plus, it of course is full of history. Athens, Greek philosophy, Greek literature. I mean, it's helped shape the civilization we know today. So if people are interested in seeing the origins, so to speak. But there's a lot to Greece too, which people, kind of focus on kind of the three areas of, Athens and Mykonos and Santorini. But there's Santorini, excuse me. But there's many other areas within Greece to see, which we can take you there, and other companies can as well. So if you find Greece is priced a little bit high for you, don't give up. Talk to Kathy, and she would be able
We'll
to
figure out something.
Figure out alternatives.
Make it happen.
Yes.
So you can do that Greek vacation. Maybe take a little bit of the Greek cruise and see some of the point-to-point destinations, islands, and then you've dipped your toe into Greece, so to speak, and then you want to go back.
There's an area, the Corinth Canal outside of Athens. One of the gals that used to work for me, she had been there and showed pictures of it. That was amazing to me, that they built that.
I'm amazed all the time at the architecture, all throughout not only Greece, but all throughout the Mediterranean and the Middle East. That just you look at the pyramids and say, how did they do
How
that?
did they do that?
We still haven't figured that one out.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did they
It's
do
crazy.
that?
Yeah.
I mean, the size of the pyramids and the size of the blocks, 12-ton blocks that they had to move from someplace
Yeah,
to get
where?
in there.
It's all sand here.
Yeah, well, they supposedly, one of the theories is they floated the blocks up the Nile and offloaded them, but
Then how did you move them still? Yeah.
Then they
Yeah.
fought on rollers, and then there's, of course, the people who think they were ancient aliens. But
They flew them in and dropped
right.
them off.
But I can promise you, we cannot show you any ancient alien sites on our tours. We haven't found any yet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, let's talk about the actual transport. So you fly into one of the countries that you want to start with or whatever. Are these mostly like group tours, or so you would be with a cluster of people, and you get on a bus and you go here and there? How does this all work?
Well, the way we work is, and I should say Yala sounds like a funny name, or it sounds like you all.
Y'all.
But Yala means let's go in Hebrew, Arabic, and if you travel to that area of the world, you hear it all the time. People will say Yala, 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 just for no
let's go.
reason sometimes. So that's we offer programs where you can go as an individual. If you just want a hotel and transfers and some day tours, we can do that. Or if you want a private tour, which I would recommend, and especially in our areas, because if you go there, you want to know what you're seeing. You can read off of the phone, but the phone isn't always correct. And besides, you're staring at a phone when you should be looking at the
Yeah.
Exactly.
pyramids or the Sphinx or whatever.
Yes.
So we can offer private touring. We have what we call published tours or scheduled tours, which we sell various individuals into it, and then they go out and see some of the tours. And of course, for those who are liking the cruises, we do shore excursions, so they can just get off in the various ports, see the highlights of the port, and go back onto the ship. But the differences between what we do and what the ships do is what we do is private. So whereas people will get off the shore excursions on the ships, and they'll be with sometimes very large groups. And they'll see pretty much the cookie cutter things, but with the private tours, you can, if you're one person or if you have a group of 100, it's still private to you or the group. So you can see what you would like to see and and do it with those you know.
Yeah, and that's really great to have that private tour, because then it's very specific to you, and it's very personal that you're getting.
Well, then he can answer so many more questions when it is a smaller group on that, instead of being with a bigger group. And that's the important part, especially in these areas. You want to know as much as you possibly can about them.
Well, you do, and I've been in big groups where there will be one or two people that kind of dominate
Yes.
the tour guide, and you're like, okay,
That's enough.
stop talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had your question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it is a nice way to do things because it does offer that aspect where you can work with the guide. Plus, in a lot of cases, you know, with some of these major motor coaches, you cannot get into some of these areas. You'll get to an area, then sometimes you'll have to hike or walk or
Because it can't fit.
Because it can't fit.
Oh, right.
So a smaller, you know, van or a car can
Yeah.
easily maneuver it. In most cases, a lot closer.
We're used to big spaces here,
Yeah.
and over there, it's smaller spaces.
Right, the streets were laid out pre-car, so
Definitely
Camels.
pre-motor coach bus. Yeah,
yeah, they're
Just
meant for camels.
Camels. Just
There you
camels.
go.
yeah.
One of the things that I still remember about Cairo when we were there, they called it an expressway. Okay. And on the expressway, there were cars, trucks, camels, donkeys,
Oh,
and people.
wow.
All going down the road at the same time. And it was
Wow,
like,
that's so much,
oh my goodness, yeah.
so many things.
Well, Cairo is you take if you're driving Cairo, you take your life in your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not something I've ever done or would want to do, and if you get to Cairo, you'll understand why.
Okay,
Because
get
not
someone
just-
to drive you.
And they don't stop. They just come to a corner and they want to go. They just turn the corner.
Zoom around.
And that's it. And they go the other way. And it's
Wow.
it is a little intimidating.
would be.
A little is an
Yeah,
understatement. It's a lot intimidating.
Yeah, it really was.
And if you value the money you'd have to pay for a damaged rental car,
Yeah.
you would not do it.
Oh,
You
No,
would-
no,
you would
that
hire a
doesn't sound
driver
like a
at the
good
very
plan.
least.
No, no.
The other thing about Cairo, in school, I always remember the teacher talking about before the Aswan Dam, that the Nile would flood and it would come out with all its sediment and it would go on either side of the Nile in Cairo, and that's where they could really grow their crops because that was rich soil then. Dag nabbit, if that line still isn't there where you can see where the Nile used to come out to.
Oh,
It was fascinating to see something that they talked about back when I was a kid.
yeah.
Well, you know, the thing, and you should take, I know some people are tempted to say, well, I can just visit Cairo and maybe Alexandria, but you should take a Nile cruise. Don't you agree?
Oh, I
Don't you
do.
agree?
Take
It
a
was
what?
so
Nile cruise.
A Nile cruise.
that
okay.
was so relaxing
Yeah.
and just floating down. We had a small little pool on the. I got to just throw this in for the heck of
Sure.
it. So we had a small little pool and we were sitting underneath the canopy. So the girls looked at one another. Were you guys ready? Yeah. Okay, we're ready. You would run to the pool because you don't want to walk barefoot on that decking.
Oh, too hot.
Then you got to the pool and you had to hurry up and splash water where you were going to sit down on the edge of it because that was hot.
Oh, okay.
So you learn real quick
How to move.
Run, get down there quickly. It
And it doesn't matter what month you go, it's always hot.
was
Well,
about 110.
It's hotter in the summer.
It was about 110 when we were there.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds hot.
it's hotter in the summer, but then again, you get some better pricing generally in the summer because it's not peak season.
That's why we did that. Yeah.
But
yeah.
So, what would you recommend for people thinking about a trip like this? Can this be arranged kind of last minute? Is this something you ought to plan 6 months or a year out? What would you recommend?
I would recommend advanced planning.
Planning,
Go to
yes,
Kathy, go
yes.
to a travel
At least,
advisor, and
let's say 6 months out.
At least.
Give enough time to get everything in that you want to do so we can kind of intertwine it and fit it all together.
right. And
Something like, especially something like this. There's too many things to see.
too many things to see, and if the trip is involves any kind of intricate planning, it takes time to do too. So it's not like a last-minute trip to Mexico or the Caribbean where you can book it and
off you go, right.
In fact, I would highly recommend that people do not take matters into their own hands and be their own travel advisor for our destinations because you go to the internet and you see the pretty pictures of hotels or you see pretty pictures of various sites, and then when you get to your hotel and find out that it has hot and cold running cockroaches, you find that they lied, and,
Yeah,
and
that's right,
then they'll
yeah.
say, well, that's too bad. You saw the picture,
Yeah,
you booked it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
Do
know,
it,
a travel
yes.
advisor knows, better,
Where to
and
go.
she works with reputable companies to put those people into, good situations.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
side
right.
plug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Kate.
We did. We had a gentleman that came to us and wanted to do like 3 days in Cairo. So we called up Yala. I have to tell you, they were so great. The amount of documents and information that we receive from them for them to improve their time, and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. They had nice little booklets. One was for her, one was for him. It was
It's
wow.
perfect. Okay.
It was absolutely perfect. They laid it all out, even like emergency phone numbers if they needed it. Everything was just laid out perfect.
And that's what you want. You want to feel
Yes.
safe, secure. You're going to see what you want.
Somebody's
You're going to have a
looking
great
after you.
time.
Yeah.
All of that. You want to be able to call somebody and say help. So
That's what they offered.
That's
with
what you
this,
want.
And all of that came really packaged up very nicely.
nice.
Yeah.
Rich, before we go today, is there anything else you want to tell our viewers, future travelers?
Yes, I would want to tell them that the destinations that we offer, Egypt, Morocco, Turkey, Greece, Jordan, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Oman, those are destinations which are a little bit off people's radar, or many people's radar, but they're worth investigating because there's only one of these destinations, and
Amazing.
and to go there will fulfill a lot of checklists on your personal bucket list items. You get the culture, you get the history, you get to have fun, beach-wise and otherwise. So I would say that the thing we talked about a little bit earlier, the fear factor, which people say, well, I'm not going to go there, or there's terrorism there. Given our current situation in some of our areas in the U.S., these are safe. Millions of people go to Israel and to Egypt and to Jordan. Every year they come and they go and they come back. And we at Yala Tours, we take safety very very seriously. We make sure that we're in constant communication with our guides. We have special cell phones that we give them, so they don't have to worry about using their own money to make calls. And so we're always in communication, and that's important. So
Absolutely.
try to rationalize the fear factor. Don't let it stop you from seeing and having the adventure of a lifetime.
Fantastic. Thanks,
That's
Rich.
the truth.
Thank you.
Adventure of a lifetime.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Kathy, you want to give us some information
Oh,
about
sure. Where I
Class
am.
Act Travel?
I'm with Class Act Travel. We're in Worth, Illinois at 111th and Worth Avenue. Our phone number is 708-448-6560. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. If you need something in the evening, hey, just call up and say, I have to come in at night. Just let me know that. I will stay for you. It's not a problem. We'd love to have you come in and talk about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, that'd be great.
It would
Thank
be-
you.
It'd be a great adventure for you. Thanks for watching us today. Dream big, go big, do it now.
Absolutely.
See you next
Yalla.
time on The Travel Show.